Bro, I told you console mods were never gonna happen. Bro, the devs are just leading us on. They're never gonna say anything about console mods. Bro, console mods aren't even a thing. I won't buy this game until they say something about console mods.
So this time, the devs are really trying to make a point. And I quote, "First off, mods are coming to consoles, we just don't know when yet." And then they also said, when they are sure when they will arrive, they will run down the streets with a megaphone, banging a pot with a spoon to notify one and all. What is going on, guys, and welcome back to a brand new SnowRunner video. Hope you all enjoyed that intro. I decided to have a little bit of fun with it, but enough about that. Let's get into everything that we have to cover in this update. Now, the developers actually very recently released an update with all sorts of details regarding the Imandra update coming to consoles, when that might happen, and they touched on some details about Update 8 as well. And I'm just going to go ahead and give you guys the full details of the entire post, and if you guys want to read it yourselves, there will be a link in the description box down below to what they are calling the August community update. So, they've said, with Update 7 locked in terms of content, they're now waiting for the patch to pass certification to publish it to all of you on all platforms. They said, "We were hoping to get the update out this week, but the certification process is taking slightly longer than expected this time around, so next week is the current target." They also say, "Trust us when we say we're as eager as all of you to get it in your hands," which I completely 100% believe. I mean, it's interesting to me that so many people are like, "Oh, they're just delaying it because X and Y and Z, or they don't want to put the update out, or blah, 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 blah." And I always have to laugh whenever I read that stuff, because I'm like, what would they have to gain from withholding an update from the community? You know what I mean? And so it cracks me up when I see so many people out in the community going, "Why is it not here yet? They're holding it back from us, blah, 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 blah." The important thing to note here, guys, is that you guys gotta be patient, and you gotta remember that sometimes these things do take a little while, and sometimes they take a little while to actually make it out of production, and sometimes it's for reasons outside of the developer's control. Now, they also give a little recap of everything that is coming in this update in terms of, like, major updates, which include the Imandra map with new missions and gameplay, the TUZ-108 Warthog, a new vehicle skin for the TUZ-166, interior customization items, trial maps, and they've also said they've got a whole bunch of improvements and bugs fixes, which the list of those will be available on patch day, and the items that are listed as DLC or Season Pass content are, of course, the Imandra map, the 108 Warthog, and the 166 skin, whereas the interior customization items and the trial maps, and of course all of the fixes and updates, are free and will be a part of the update for everyone. Now, circling back around to the topic of modding, which I discussed briefly in the beginning of the video, they did say that, first off, console mods are coming, they just don't really know when. And they go on to say that mods on console need a unique and lengthy approval process for every game that has them. Now, they go on to say that they don't know which update or which phase the console mods will come in, but when they do know, they said, yet again, and I will say this phrase yet again because I love it, "We will run down the streets with a megaphone, banging a pot with a spoon to notify one and all that our developers have developed a third arm to work faster." We've seen all sorts of speculation, and that's totally fine, even fun, they say in parentheses, but try to keep in mind that it is all speculation. No one has top secret info on this unless they know something that the development team themselves does not know. So if you are seeing things out there like people saying, "I know the date when console mods will arrive, and it's definitely December, or it's definitely January, or it's definitely November," none of those are confirmed, and I cannot drive this point home hard enough. None of those things are confirmed, and it's very, very, very important that we don't go off of those speculations, because, again, they are just speculations, and that's that. So after reading most of this update, I'm really, really, really hopeful that the actual Imandra update will be dropping for PC and consoles, or at least the non-PTS PC version, as well as, of course, the console versions next week. I'm really, really hoping that they're able to do that. Now, again, they said they can't guarantee that, and that the process is taking a little bit longer than usual this time, but I'm really, really, really hoping that they can squeeze that out next week, because it would be really, really cool to have that update update get into the hands of all of the console players that have been basically, like, chomping at the bit to get their hands on this update for a really long time now. And I understand that it can be very, very frustrating to see, you know, players on PC with the PTS playing around with all this stuff that you don't have yet. And again, I understand that can be very, very, very frustrating. If I was a console-only player, I would be very, very frustrated. And I completely understand what it feels like to be in those shoes. And you have every right to have a little bit of a frustration over that. Although, to be fair, it's also important that we give the developers not only credit where credit is due, but that we also give them our patience, because the more patient we are with them, the higher the chances are of them doing a really, really incredible job with all of the updates they have planned for the future, such as console mods and all of the other phases like Phase 2 content, Phase 3 content, and so on and so forth. And there's also, of course, the expansion, which we haven't even heard anything about yet, but as they revealed in their original Phases trailer, Phase 4 will be a gigantic game-changing expansion. So what that could be, nobody knows yet, and again, we can only speculate, but I am very, very excited to see what that is, because there are all sorts of things that they've been teasing, and not only that they've been teasing, but all sorts of things that have already given this game way more support than MudRunner ever had. And for one, I am extremely grateful for that, and I think for two, you know, when we look at the content release schedule for SnowRunner, and, you know, we get frustrated with one thing or another, we have to kind of take a step back and remember that this game has already had way, way, way more post-launch support than MudRunner did. And I think that, yes, MudRunner, of course, did get the maps and DLC phases and different vehicles and things like that, and that was all very, very cool, but I think they've been a lot more involved with the community this time around for SnowRunner, and they've taken community feedback a lot better, and they've done a much better job of addressing the community. And I think, you know, I think the community managers for SnowRunner, man, they've got their work cut out for them, because I'll tell you, like, this community can be a little bit brutal sometimes, and that just kind of, unfortunately, it is what it is. But I encourage you guys to, again, stay patient and kind of, you know, keep your, not necessarily, like, bottle up your frustration if you can't wait for this stuff to be out yet, but, you know, like, whenever you kind of get frustrated that this stuff isn't out yet, you know, take a breath, take a step back, and understand that the developers want it in your hands as badly as you do. And I think that that's the biggest point we can drive home from this announcement and from sort of this little overview. Now, if you are a console player, I would love to hear from you in the comment section down below so we can have an open conversation on how you, as a console player, whether you're on Xbox One or PS4, I want to know what your experience has been like, not only with the community, but how your experience has been with the updates to the game thus far, and how you personally feel that the update system has been handled on consoles specifically. Because I have been in touch very, very closely with the PC side of the game, but I really want to hear from you console guys, because there is a large console community on this game, and I think that, you know, a lot of PC players can sometimes get a little bit, you know, they can kind of, you know, their head can kind of inflate a little bit, and they basically sound like, you know, when you hear a console player saying, well, you know, I really wish we had this, blah, 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 you know, you get a PC guy going, well, why don't you stop complaining and buy a PC? The reality is that there are so many console players out there that you can't just go around telling them to buy a PC. That just doesn't work. And that's, you know, some people don't even want to play games on a PC. Some people just have Macs and they don't want anything to do with PC, and they just want to play games on their PlayStation or their Xbox, and that's where all of their games are. And you can't blame them for that. I mean, that's just how gaming works. You have console people and you have PC people, and there isn't one better than the other by any means. There's just your system of choice. And I think, like I said, I think PC players can kind of, you know, get a little bit of an ego sometimes, and I completely get that. But at the end of the day, you know, console players are not only just as important to this community, but they are a huge, huge part of this game and of this community. So again, if you are a console player, let me know in the comment section down below what your personal experience with the updates over the life cycle of this game so far has been. And I would love to know how you guys are feeling about the updates to consoles. Now, to wrap things up, I just want to say that I am really happy that they addressed console mods yet again and have said yet again that they are working on them, and they're really trying to drive home the fact that they are going to be a thing. They genuinely are going to be a thing, and I'm sure that there will be some people out there in the comments that are not yet convinced and won't be convinced until they physically have console mods in their hands on their Xbox or PlayStation. And, you know, for some, that's just kind of, you know, the clarification that they need, and is that they won't really believe it until it's there. But I highly encourage you guys to not give up hope on console mods, because it's clear that the developers are in the headspace where they're not giving up on them either, and they're working hard. So hope you all enjoyed this update video. If you did, make sure to leave me a like. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments, and if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next one.